Hello everybody. I had a bit of an accident with a Sharpie, and that led me to look all over the internet for ideas on how to get it off. And quite frankly, some of them were silly. WD-40, rubbing alcohol. What was the other one? Hairspray, that's the one. I'm a middle-aged, bald-headed man. I'm not going to have any hairspray to hand. There's also no way I'm going to put WD-40 onto any soft furnishings or carpets. And as for rubbing alcohol, I have no idea where to get that from. Permanent markers are relatively easy to get off non-porous surfaces. But when it comes to something like carpet, that's a whole different ball game. Out of all the household items that I have lying about, these are my top pick to get you out of trouble at a pinch. None of them are perfect, but they do a pretty good job. My top pick for helping you out in an emergency is body spray. I don't know if they're all the same, but this cheap stuff from Aldi seems to do a brilliant job. I worked out that if you just spray it on, let it soak in for a minute or two, then go over it again, and then just start wiping it off with some kitchen roll. You can see how much colour it actually takes out. I did the red because you can see the pigment on there. That's the one that actually gets stuck in the most and is the hardest to remove. And then go over it again. I've used quite a lot of spray on this. But it does really start to break that down. As I think I said at the beginning, none of these are like a magic bullet. But in an emergency situation, they may get you out of trouble. I didn't say it was going to be easy. Little tiny bit of pink left in there. That was the hardest one. So there you go. I was quite happy with that. For those of you wondering how much kitchen roll I've used, there's your answer. Lots of little pieces. So that's the thing, spray it, rub it, spray it, rub it. You'll get there eventually, and it could get you out of trouble. That's your final result. I guess you could go over that a little bit more, but to be fair, there's hardly any pigment left. I'm quite pleased with that. Next we'll go with the antiperspirant. Same process. The antiperspirant doesn't seem to work as well. This one needs a lot harder rubbing and more of a flooding. But it will get it out. I've gone over that a few times as well. Same process. So now we move on to the hand sanitizers. This one has got 57.6% ethanol. Just give that a rub with my finger to agitate it. And this one has got 70% alcohol. It's also a bit thinner, this one. I did put a second amount on there over the top to let it really soak in the carpet. Let's try this as well. Now, just because I'm doing this here doesn't mean that you should try this at home. And the reason being is that if you start putting this on your furnishings, carpets, there's no telling if it's going to take the colour out your carpet or your soft furnishings, your sofa, etc. So if you do decide to try this, it's entirely up to you. Don't blame me if it goes wrong. Here's the results after the first application and taking off. That's the 70% alcohol in hand sanitizer, and that's the 57.6% alcohol in the hand sanitizer. And when we come back a bit, you can see that's starting to go more of a browny orange type colour. Let's go again. Agitate it. Then leave it for a couple of minutes. And then we keep trying to rub it off. Let it absorb into the kitchen roll. That's your result after the second application. 70% alcohol. And there's your 57.6% alcohol. You can clearly see from this that the black has almost gone. It's the pigment out of the red that's a bit of an issue. So we're going to go one more time. We're still taking out a little tiny bit of pigment, so it's still working. But we'll call it a day on that, and let's look at the results. Let's start with a body spray. I think that's done a pretty good job. If you had a different colour carpet, that red, or what's left of the pigment, I reckon that might disappear and you wouldn't even notice it. So I was quite impressed with that. As for the antiperspirant, didn't do quite as good a job. But again, depending on the colour of the carpet, it would probably get the worst out for you. And nobody would be any the wiser. Moving on to the hand gel. This is the 57.6% ethanol. There's a little bit of red left that's got a slightly browny colour, but to be fair, that's not bad. I'm pretty impressed with that in the end. So, good job, hand gel. And then we're on to the 70% alcohol. This looks worse than it is because it's still wet. I reckon by the time that's dried off, you'd hardly notice. So there you have it, folks. If you do happen to have an emergency following a permanent marker accident, and these are all you have to hand, then they may just get you out of trouble. As I said, none of these are a magic bullet, but they may just help you out when you need it. Thanks for watching. InfoZhed out.